Before we begin, take a moment to get comfortable. Let your arms go heavy, your breath slow. And as you listen, feel free to leave a comment sharing what time it is, where you are, and what city or village you're listening from. It's love to know. And if you'd like more quiet stories like this one, don't forget to subscribe so they gently appear when you need them most. Now, let's begin. You lie still, not asleep yet, not fully awake, breathing slow, even undemanding. Around you, the world fades into softness. You're not watching the seconds tick by. You're not looking at the hour on your phone, but time is still. Here, it moves, somehow. Not with a sound, not with a push, but with a texture, like the weight of a heavy blanket. Like a breeze you can't see. Sometimes it feels fast. Other times it drags, stretching wide like a yawn that never ends. You've felt this before, on school days that refuse to end, or on long walks where minutes seem to melt into themselves. Time doesn't always behave. That's because, in many ways, time is less like a ruler and more like a feeling. Don't sense it in the way you sense touch or sound. You feel time in the gaps, again, the waiting, in the change. Think about how a moment can feel longer than an hour. The few seconds before you speak on stage, the moment just after hearing bad news, the pause between two heartbeats when you're not sure what happens next. Time stretches in. These moments, not because it actually lengthens, but because you are paying attention. And attention, it turns out, is one of the secret ingredients of time. Close your eyes, picture a drop of water falling. It's just one. And that single drop is an entire second. You wait for it. You feel the air tense, the surface pull, and then release. A splash, a ripple, and it's gone. That second had a sound, a movement, a meaning, but only because you noticed it. Now imagine an hour in traffic, or waiting in a line, or watching a loading screen that circles endlessly. These moments feel long, but not rich, okay? They stretch because you are aware of them, but not engaged. Your mind paces, your body shifts. Time becomes sticky, slow, repetitive. There's a phrase used in psychology, time perception. It's not a clock on the wall. It's the way your brain feels the passage of time. And it changes based on mood, memory, and what you're doing. A joyful day can flash by. An anxious hour can feel eternal. Even animals feel this. A cat chasing. A light moves in bursts. A bird waiting for the wind sits frozen, measuring not in minutes, but in rhythm. In the wild, time is felt through hunger, through warmth, through cycles of day and night. The sky tells time, the body tells time, but the mind, time plays with it. There's something else that shapes your sense of time, novelty. New experiences expand the way you feel time passing. Have you ever traveled to a new place and felt like the first few days lasted longer than they should? That's because your brain is working harder to process unfamiliar things. It's building new memories, and in doing so, it lays down more detail. More detail means more remembered time. So later, looking back, those moments seem longer. Contrast that with routine. The same desk, the same walk, the same lunch. Days like these can vanish without a trace. You lived them, but they blur, they compress in your memory. Time feels shorter, not because it passed more quickly, but because it wasn't marked by change. Memory and time are deeply linked. You remember what mattered, not always what lasted. A single kiss, a sudden goodbye, a song that made you cry. These are short moments, yet they take up large spaces in your mind. Why? Because emotion amplifies. Time, joy, sorrow, surprise, they stretch a second into a story. Scientists have even found that. People estimate time differently depending on their heart rate. When your pulse races, time can seem to slow. That's your brain trying to keep up with fast information. Processes more, so the moment feels fuller, longer. That's why accidents feel slow. Why panic seems to freeze the world. Your brain is trying to stretch time to understand it. But what about time? That slips away. You felt this, too, when you're doing something you love. When you're lost in a book, or a conversation, or a piece of music. Hours vanish like mist. You emerge, surprised, blinking at the clock. Where did it go? That's called flow. A state where you're deeply focused, but not tense. A place where you are so present, you forget to check the time. And that very forgetting is what makes time feel shorter. Flow collapses the feeling of time because you're not watching it. You're inside it. Children live like this often. They don't measure their day in hours. They live from moment to moment. When they're building a tower or chasing a butterfly, they're in time, not outside of it. They don't analyze time, just exist in it. As adults, we try to manage time, schedule it, track it, feel it, but this can sometimes separate us from feeling it. You become a manager of seconds instead of a traveler through them. So, tonight, let yourself be the traveler again. Imagine time not as a straight line, but as a sea. You float on it. You don't rush it. You don't need to control it. It moves beneath you. It carries you forward. Sometimes gently, sometimes unpredictably. And what about dreams? In dreams, time becomes something else entirely. A dream can contain an entire life in 5 minutes. Or it can repeat 1 second endlessly. Dreams are the theater of felt time. They show us that your brain is the author of your temporal experience, that the ticking of a clock means little when your inner world is in motion. Think of music. A melody only exists because of timing. Notes follow one another in rhythm. The pause for too long and the music ends. Go too fast and it becomes noise. The beauty lies in the balance, and so it is with time. Life is the melody. Time is the rhythm. There is also a quiet kind of time, the one that sits in stillness. The time between two breaths, between one thought and the next. These gaps are easy to miss, but they hold something rare. The space to simply be. No movement, no change, just presence. Meditation lives here. So does peace. These pauses are not empty. They are spacious. They are full of your awareness. They are the feeling of time itself. Raw, slow, unshaped. Some people say time flies when you're having fun. Others say time drags when you're bored. But maybe time doesn't fly or drag at all. Maybe it waits always the same, and it's your attention that moves, like a spotlight scanning a stage. Wherever you shine it, time lights up. In this way, you are the painter of your own moments. The more you notice, the richer the color, the deeper the tone, the slower the unfolding. Attention is what makes time feel real. So now, as you drift closer to sleep, try not to count the minutes. Instead, feel them. Feel how this one wraps around you like a soft shawl. Feel how it lingers on your skin, in your chest, behind your eyes. Let it be long. Let it be kind. You don't need to do anything with time right now. Just let it be. Let this moment stretch like twilight. Let it cradle you. And as your body softens into rest, you might begin to wonder if time is made of motion, of rhythm, of change. What happens when everything stands still and still? You sit quietly, perhaps still lying down, the weight of the world having left your shoulders for now. There's nothing you need to do, nothing pulling your attention. Just the gentle rise and fall of breath, just the rhythm of stillness. You feel the seconds, or do you? What is a second, really? Not just a number, it's not just a tick of a machine, but the essence of it. A second is something passing, something changing from one state to another. A tree losing a leaf, a wave rising, then falling, a body exhaling and pausing before it breathes again. Time, in its rawest form, is not something you hold. You cannot pick it up. You cannot find it in your pocket, cannot see it fall from the sky. Instead, you notice time when something moves. This idea has echoed through the halls of ancient thought. From early philosophers to modern physicists, many have asked, if nothing moved, would time still exist? Think of this: a perfect, frozen scene, a room with a candle that never flickers, air that never shifts, not a molecule trembling, not a whisper of sound, a universe held in pause. Would there be time in that place? Would time, too, be paused? Our entire understanding of time, whether through science or experience, begins with motion. Even the simplest clock relies on something moving: pendulum swinging, a gear turning, a crystal vibrating, a light beam bouncing. Without that movement, how would you ever know that a second had passed? In physics, time is deeply tied to change, specifically change in position, in energy, in entropy. The equations don't describe time in isolation. They describe how one thing becomes another, how a system shifts, evolves, travels. In other words, they describe motion. Imagine the universe as a vast, elaborate dance. Each planet, each electron, each grain of dust performing its own choreography. The stars spin, the galaxies drift. Even the atoms in your skin quiver slightly, humming with energy. All of this movement gives shape to time. It's how we mark it. It's how we feel it. But what if the dance stopped? Picture a lake at sunrise, perfectly still. It's not even a ripple on the water's face. For a moment, it seems timeless, eternal. But even here, time moves beneath the surface, inside the cells of fish resting in the reeds, in the slow rotation of the earth that will eventually pull the sun higher in the sky. Stillness is never truly still. Somewhere, something is shifting. Yet, let's imagine a more absolute version. A universe with no change. No atoms spinning. No photons flying. No heartbeat. No decay. No heat. A universe in complete and total stasis. Could time pass in such a place? Many physicists would say no, because time, they suggest, is not a background, not a canvas on which things happen. Instead, it is the happening itself. It's the unfolding, the transformation. Without events, there is no time, only potential, only silence. This idea that time is not a separate thing, but the measure of change, is central to many scientific theories. In fact, Newtonian physics, time is treated as an independent river. It flows, steady and smooth, whether or not you're watching. You can move through it, but you cannot stop it. It is absolute. But in Einstein's theory of relativity, time changes. It bends. It stretches. It isn't the same for everyone, everywhere. Instead of an invisible river, time becomes part of the fabric of space-time, a dimension interwoven with space itself. You don't simply pass through time, you ride its currents, pulled and slowed by motion and mass, and in the equations that govern general relativity. Something odd appears. In a perfectly static universe, one without change, time ceases to have meaning. Okay? The math works, but time becomes an unused variable, like a blank page that was never written on. This leads to a deeper question. Is time fundamental to the universe? Or is it something we experience because of motion and memory? Think of a film strip. Each frame is a snapshot, a single image, frozen in place. Viewed alone, a frame has no time, no story, no motion. But run them through a projector, and suddenly, time appears. The story unfolds. The dancer spins. Tick. The leaves fall. Time comes alive, because the images change. Some scientists wonder if our universe is like that, a series of static states, stacked in order. Our consciousness, our awareness, moves through these frames, giving us the illusion of time, flowing. Could it be that time doesn't pass at all? Could it be that you are just a traveler, riding through a collection of frozen moments? This idea may sound abstract, even strange. but your own experience supports it in quiet ways. Remember a moment when you were truly still, meditating, perhaps, or lying under a tree, watching the branches sway. Time doesn't disappear, but it softens. It loses its edges. It becomes less about the future or the past, and more about now. The sensation of being in such moments, motion still exists. The rustle of leaves, the wind on your skin, the quiet thump of your pulse, but you are no longer chasing time. You are inside it, floating, not measuring. And that's the difference. When you focus on measuring time, it becomes sharp, divided, urgent. But when you focus on feeling time, it becomes wide, gentle, spacious. So what happens if all motion stopped? Absolute zero, the coldest possible temperature. Particles stop moving. That's the theory. In practice, thanks to quantum mechanics, they still wiggle, just a little. A whisper of motion remains. But if we could truly reach perfect stillness, would time stop there? We'll explore this more in another chapter. But for now, consider, even in a perfectly frozen world, without any ticking or change, your mind might still imagine motion, might still remember, might still dream. And that act of dreaming, of imagining, is itself a form of movement, which leads to yet another layer. Is time something that requires the universe to change? Or does it only require you to change? If your thoughts drift, if your breath shifts, if your emotions flow, is that enough? Perhaps time exists within your awareness, Not in the stars, but in the mind that watches them. And here's a gentle twist. Some theories in physics, including certain interpretations of quantum mechanics, suggest that observation itself creates the passage of time, that it is only when something is measured, seen, or experienced that it becomes part of the timeline. Before the observation, it was only potential. Afterward, it is part of the past. So, in this view, time isn't just tied to motion. It's tied to consciousness, to you, the observer, the witness, the one who remembers. And if this is true, if time requires someone to notice it, then the universe itself becomes not just a machine ticking forward, but a kind of dance between change and awareness, between motion, and memory, between unfolding and attention. Which brings us back to the question, if time is the measure of change, what happens when you stop, when everything around you slows, when the world seems to pause? Perhaps, in that stillness, you find something not outside of time, but deeper within it. A moment that stretches, a breath that becomes wide enough to hold an entire thought, a silence that echoes longer than sound. And maybe, just maybe, time isn't something that slips through your fingers. Maybe it's the space between them, the softness inside every pause, the breath just before the next step, which leads us to an old thought reborn in modern minds. If time depends on movement, then how fast you move must also shape how time unfolds for you. And that, softly, brings us toward a thought Einstein once followed with wonder. You are floating again. Not in water this time, but in a thought, a quiet place made of ideas and metaphors. The air is still, and the sky is wide, as if you've slipped into a space between dreams and waking. And here, in this space, you find a clock, but not the kind with ticking hands or glowing numbers. This clock is a thought experiment, one of Einstein's quiet inventions, a device of pure imagination, used to reveal something that had always been hiding in plain sight. It looks like this: two mirrors, perfectly aligned, facing one another, suspended in space. Between them, a single beam of light bounces up and down, from top mirror to bottom, from bottom mirror to top. Each bounce marks 1 second, simple, silent, elegant. This is a light clock, and in the stillness of your mind, you can watch it work. A steady rhythm, bounce, 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 a way of counting time through the heartbeat of light. Now, imagine the clock is on a train, a smooth, silent train moving past you at an enormous speed. To the person inside the train, the light beam still goes straight up and down. Nothing unusual. One bounce, 1 second. But from where you sit, still and quiet on the ground, something strange happens as the train moves forward. The light beam, to your eyes, no longer travels a vertical path. Instead, it zigzags, goes up and forward, then down and forward again. Its path forms long, diagonal lines, like a stretched out triangle. This is where the magic begins, because the speed of light, as far as physics knows, never changes. It's constant, no matter how fast the train moves. Light moves at the same speed through space, so if the light takes a longer path but travels at the same speed, then it must take more time to complete each bounce. From your point of view, the seconds on a moving train take longer to pass. The clock ticks more slowly. This isn't just an illusion. It's not a trick of perspective. It's real. Time is actually moving slower for the person on the train. Einstein called this time dilation, a strange, soft warping of time caused by speed. The faster you move through space, the slower you move through time. This idea, so delicate, yet so immense, changed everything, because it meant that time was not universal, not fixed, not the same for everyone. It bent, it stretched, it could change, depending on how you moved. And this realization was not just poetic, it was mathematical, describable, predictable. It became one of the core principles of special relativity, Einstein's theory of motion and time, unveiled in 1905. Close your eyes now and imagine yourself aboard that train. The windows are wide. The engine is silent. You are moving close to the speed of light, faster than any human has ever gone. To you, everything feels normal. Your heart beats, your breath flows, your light clock bounces, as it always has. But to someone watching from the outside, everything about you seems slower. Your gestures, your voice, even the pace of your thoughts. Time, from their view, has softened around you. And if you could travel faster and faster, approaching the speed of light itself, time would slow more and more, until, at the very edge, at light speed, it would stop completely. From that point of view, no time would pass at all. A photon, a single particle of light, experiences no time. From the moment it is born in a star to the moment it touches your eye, no time ticks for it. It simply travels. This is difficult to imagine, but it is a natural consequence of relativity. Speed slows time. This concept is not just a curiosity. It is a reality, one that engineers and scientists must consider every day. Take the global positioning system, GPS. The satellites above Earth move quickly. They orbit high above the surface, where gravity is weaker. Both of these conditions, high speed and low gravity, cause time to tick differently for the satellites compared to time on Earth. Their clocks run slightly faster or slower, depending on their position and motion. If engineers ignored this, if they pretended that time was the same everywhere, GPS would drift off by kilometers every day. You'd get lost, even in your own neighborhood. So every GPS satellite must account for relativity, adjusting its sense of time to match yours. Einstein's imagination made your phone work, all from a thought experiment with a beam of light. And yet, this is just the beginning. Time dilation grows more dramatic as you get closer to the speed of light. At everyday speeds, walking, driving, even flying in a jet, the effect is tiny, but it's still there. Every time you move, you bend time ever so slightly. You are not a prisoner of time. You shape it, softly, with motion. There is a gentle irony here. The faster you go, the slower time becomes. Rushing doesn't make time last longer. It makes it slip away. But when you are still, when you are at rest, you experience the fullness of time. You feel each second like ripples in a quiet pond. Motion stretches time, but stillness fills it. This isn't a metaphor, it's physics. And so, as you lie here now, calm and unmoving, you are not wasting time. You are inside it, fully, completely. You are not rushing through it. You are listening to it, letting it expand. Einstein's clock teaches us not just about science, but about presence. You can run faster. You can climb higher. You can stretch your minutes into hours with the right equations. But in the end, time reveals itself most clearly, not in speed, but in stillness. Because when you're still, you can feel it. The soft pulse of existence. The gentle unfolding of now. And here is one last quiet truth. If someone were to leave Earth in a fast spaceship, traveling near the speed of light, and then return, they would have aged more slowly than everyone they left behind. Time for them would have passed gently, lightly, a few years, perhaps, but for those who stayed, decades might pass. This is not a science fiction story. It is science, a story written in the fabric of spectrum. Time is not a single thread. It is a tapestry, a field that bends and stretches depending on how you touch it. And you, just by existing, are a part of that field. You shape it with emotion. You enter it with thought. You feel it most deeply when you pause. So if a beam of light can change our understanding of time, what might gravity do? You lie back in the quiet of your thoughts. Around you, the room is still. The light softens. Silence settles into the corners of your mind. Now, drift upward, not in body, but in awareness. Rise above the buildings, above the clouds, above the curved blue shell of Earth. Keep going until you reach the edge of orbit. There, in the hush of space, you float beside an astronaut. She wears a suit of layers, glass, fabric, metal, insulation, and on her wrist is a simple watch. It ticks softly, measuring seconds in the same quiet rhythm it did back on Earth. But here's the quiet surprise. Even though the astronaut feels normal, even though she breathes and thinks and blinks like she always has, her watch ticks differently, slightly slower. It is a small difference, barely noticeable, but real. If she stays in space long enough, then returns to Earth, her watch and her body will be just a little bit behind yours. It's not a malfunction. It's not a trick. It's time dilation. Again, but this time, the reason isn't speed alone. It's also gravity back on Earth. Time moves at the pace you've always known. The seconds feel steady, reliable. But what you don't feel, can't feel, is that Earth's gravity is pulling on your sense of time just as surely as it pulls on your arms, your legs, your bones. Gravity doesn't just hold your feet to the ground. It holds your seconds there too. And the closer you are to that gravitational center, the deeper you sit in Earth's invisible well, the more your time slows. It's as if gravity clutches each second with a heavy hand. High above, where gravity weakens, those same seconds flow more freely. This is not imagination. It's physics, proven, measured, confirmed on the International Space Station, where astronauts orbit Earth at about 17,500 miles per hour. Both speed and gravity affect their time. Speed, according to Einstein's special relativity, slows their clocks, but the weaker gravity, according to general relativity, speeds their clocks up. These two effects tug in opposite directions, and the result. On balance, the astronauts age slightly slower than people on Earth. Not dramatically, not like in science fiction films, but enough to matter if you know how to listen. And physicists too. They measure it with exquisite precision. In fact, if an astronaut spent 6 months aboard the ISS and returned, she would have aged about 0.005 seconds less than her twin on Earth. 5 milliseconds. Half the blink of an eye. But still, it's different. A different number of heartbeats. A different count of brain waves. It's a different passage of time, quietly split by altitude. Now, Imagine you could stand at the very edge of a black hole, the most massive, most gravitational place we know. Dark time would stretch to near stillness. A single second for you could mean days, years, even centuries for someone far away. You wouldn't feel the difference. But to the universe, your time would have paused. This is what gravity does. It bends time. Even here on Earth, that bending happens constantly, though softly. A clock at sea level ticks a tiny bit slower than a clock on a mountain peak. If you carried two synchronized atomic clocks, one up a tall skyscraper and one in the basement, they would gradually drift out of sync, not by hours, not even minutes, but by nanoseconds. Time is sensitive. It responds to the landscape beneath it, and your body, though it may not notice, is part of that response. The most advanced timekeepers in the world, atomic clocks, are so precise that they now help us map gravity itself. Tiny shifts in altitude, in mass, in density, all recorded not by scales, but by the quiet stretching of seconds. Scientists use these clocks to sense earthquakes, to measure underground aquifers, even to detect the slow movement of tectonic plates. Time has become a tool for listening to Earth's heartbeat, and yet it still flows inside you. You carry your own clock, a wristwatch of flesh, rhythmed at your pulse, your breath, your sleep cycles. These too respond to gravity's pull. Pilots flying at high altitudes, mountaineers sleeping on peaks, astronauts in orbit. All of them experience time, just a little differently than you do. And though we speak of this as science, as math and measurement, there is something gentle, even poetic about it. Time is not fixed. 'Tis local. It flows at the speed of your surroundings. It listens to your place in the universe, even in a single room. If you sat on the floor and your friend stood on a ladder, her head would be aging ever so slightly faster than your feet. Strange, but true. And in that truth lies something beautiful, because it means that time is not just a river. It's a river that bends, widens, narrows, shaped by the contours of space and mass. You live not beside time, but within it. You float in a sea of seconds, and every atom around you stirs the current. This is what Einstein gave us, not just new equations, but new perspective, to realize that even now, as you lie still, your body is dancing with time in a deeply personal way. The blood in your heart moves slower than the light in your room. Your dreams move faster than the soil under your bed, and the stars far above watch with their own clocks set by gravity, by distance, by ancient movement. This chapter of physics tells us something. It's both complex and calming. Time is not universal. It's intimate. It holds you differently depending on where you are. And so, the astronaut's watch does not lie. It records a truth older than language. That time bends gently. It's in the presence of weight, and every second you live is shaped by the invisible forces beneath your skin. It's beneath your home, beneath the spinning planet you stand on. You are part of this great field, not just a watcher of time, but a participant in its shape. And as you return from your imagined orbit, drifting down through cloud and wind, remember this: each altitude, each motion, each breath reshapes your place in time's quiet current. Even now, lying still, you are moving, not just through space, but through the subtle layers of a bent and living time. And if gravity can stretch the seconds, what happens when space itself collapses into a single point? Imagine you're standing still, feet on the ground, breathing easy, not rushing, not moving. You look around, and the world looks ordinary, steady, familiar. Gravity holds you close, pulling downward in a way that feels natural, expected. But what you don't feel, what you can't feel, is that this gravity also pulls at your seconds, like an unseen hand, stretching moments as they pass. You walk through life believing that time is constant. A second is a second, a minute, always. lasts the same, but physics tells a different story, one more subtle and strange. Time is not immune to gravity. It is shaped by it. The stronger the pull of gravity where you are, the more time bends, slows, splues. You exist at the bottom of Earth's gravitational well, not a literal hole, but a curve in the fabric of space. Every planet, every star, every mass in the universe bends this invisible fabric, just a little. The more mass, the deeper the curve. Earth's mass creates a gentle well, a soft dip in space-time. You live at the bottom of that dip. It's not something you notice, but it matters, because down here, where gravity presses, your seconds are slightly longer. Not because your watch is broken, not because you feel any different, but because time itself flows differently at different depths of gravity. Climb a mountain, stand on a plane, fly high in the atmosphere. Up there, gravity is slightly weaker, and so time moves slightly faster. If two clocks are perfectly synchronized, one at sea level and one thousands of meters above, they would tick apart, tiny, fractional, invisible to the senses, but real. On a mountain peak, time flows faster. At the Earth's core, deeper than any tunnel has reached, time flows slower. Even a few centimeters of altitude make a difference. If you lie down on the ground, your head is aging just a little faster than your feet. This isn't fantasy. It's been measured, proven, in labs with atomic clocks so precise they can detect a change of 1 foot in elevation. Physicists have watched this happen. Raise a clock a few inches, and it ticks faster. Lower it, and it slows. Time bends to gravities. We'll now imagine something more extreme. Not the Earth's gentle well, but a cliff, a star, a collapsed one, a black hole, the most massive, most dense, most gravitational object we know. Get close to a black hole, and gravity becomes overpowering, not just for your body, but for your time. To an outside observer, it's someone watching you fall toward the black hole. Your movements begin to slow. Your gestures, your words, your blinks all stretch out. Closer and closer, you fall. And from the outside, it looks like you are slowing to a halt, just above the event horizon. It's the edge of no return. Your seconds stretch so far that you seem to freeze, not just to observers, to time itself. From your own perspective, you're still moving, still breathing, still thinking. But the light from you takes longer to escape. It gets redder, fainter. The information stretches until it's as if time for you has stopped completely, locked in the final frame. This is gravity's grip, taken to the extreme, and even here on Earth, we live within its softer version. We feel it not in pain or pressure, but in the way our time is shaped. Satellites that orbit above must account for this. Their onboard clocks are constantly corrected, both for their motion, which slows time, and for their altitude, which speeds it up. Your phone, your maps, your GPS, all of it works because someone remembered. Gravity bends time. Even the signals from the satellites must account for the way Earth curves. Speed kidding, otherwise your location would be wrong. Every second, every inch. And as we build better clocks, our awareness of this bending becomes more precise. Time becomes a measure of place, a way to map the world, not just by space, by gravity. You live inside this balance, this gravitational curve. You've lived inside it every moment of your life. You were born into a time already slowed by the planet's pull. And as you walk, run, fly, sleep, your seconds stretch and shift in tiny ways. Depending on your position, it is not enough to aid you noticeably, but it is enough to remind you time is not absolute. It listens to where you are. It bends not just to speed, but to mass, to weight, to the shape of the space around you. And what does that mean? It means that time is never the same in two places. There is no single universal clock ticking away somewhere instead. There are billions of clocks, each body, each atom, each satellite, each star, keeping its own rhythm, its own tempo, shaped by its own gravity. And yet, somehow, the music makes sense. The universe plays a song with a billion tempos, each bent by gravity, flowing in its own groove. And still, we find harmony in it. You don't need to feel this bending for it to shape your life. It already has, even now, lying still. Your time is different than it would be on a mountain, different than it would be in space, different than it would be just a few inches above. Gravity holds more than your body. It holds your seconds, your minutes, your memories. It shapes your life gently, persistently. And what if we could escape it? Not just float, but leave this well altogether. Climb far enough, fast enough, beyond Earth, beyond the pull. Would time let go? Would our seconds stretch out like soft fabric in the wind? And if they did, what would happen if we kept going toward a place where time itself falters? You are floating, not falling, not flying, just drifting, weightless, effortless, without sound. In this part of the universe, there are no breezes, no friction, no boundaries, only the stars behind you, in a dark center, pulling gently ahead. It doesn't look dangerous, not at first. It's the black hole. From a distance, it is a sphere of absence, perfectly round, perfectly silent. You see nothing in it, no color, no light, not even shadows. It isn't a place, exactly. It's the absence of all places, but something about it holds your attention. It bends the stars behind it, stretches them into arcs. Starlight curves around it like thread pulled across a drum. Its bending is not just a trick of your eyes, it's a fact of the space itself. This black hole is a wound in the fabric of the universe, not torn, but sunken like the deepest well ever carved. As you move closer, your body doesn't feel it. No tug, no pull, no shaking. The descent is silent, calm, but time begins to whisper differently. Far away, a clock ticks steadily. Closer in, that same clock stretches its seconds wider. Now, imagine two people, you floating gently toward the black hole, and another watching you from far away. They see you drift slowly, slower, slower still. Each blink seems to take minutes, each breath hours to them. You are slowing, fading, freezing, for from your own view, nothing feels strange. Time passes normally. A thought forms, a feeling rises. A breath comes and goes. The space around you shifts like dream mist, but time remains familiar. You do not feel yourself slowing. What you're witnessing is not illusion. It is the physics of time warping at the edge of gravity. This place, its outer boundary, is called the event horizon. It is the edge of forever. From the outside, no light can escape beyond it. No signal, no image, no information. When something crosses this threshold, it does not come back. Not even the idea of it comes back. To those watching from a distance, you never cross the event horizon. You approach it eternally, slower and slower. It's forever on the edge, never through. But from your own perspective, you pass it easily. No flash, no jolt, dot, just a smooth glide across a line you cannot see. And then time becomes something else. Not gone, not stopped. It's changed. The light behind you is stretched, reddened, pulled long like honey dripping in slow motion. And ahead of you, nothing. Not dark like sleep, dark like beyond knowing. Because even light, which normally outlines the shape of all things light, cannot reach your eyes from ahead. Okay? It cannot bounce off walls or reflect off matter. Ahead of you, space ends in silence. You're inside the black hole now. And inside, time folds to the rest of the universe. You've vanished. To you, the journey continues. But the destination, okay? Unknown. Physicists call it the singularity, a point of infinite density where mass is compressed beyond measure. Point is the wrong word. It has no size, No shape and no time, because within the black hole, time and space trade places. What was distance becomes delay. What was movement becomes stillness. And what was future becomes unreachable. You can move forward in time, always forward, but never back, and never sideways. You are caught in a current, not of gravity, but of inevitability. No force, no thruster, no willpower can turn you around. You are sailing on the timeline of the black hole itself, and it only flows one way, inward. And here's what's strange. Your own body feels nothing. No crushing force, no sudden decay, no ripping apart. If the black hole is large enough, supermassive, its edge is so gentle, you wouldn't feel the passage at all. No squeeze, no heat, no stress, just drifting. The real change is in time. It is no longer yours to measure. Out there, beyond the event horizon, entire galaxies spin and grow and die, while a single second passes for you from your vantage point. The universe accelerates. Outside observers might see you freeze, but you see them race forward. Civilizations rise and fall in moments. Stars are born and blink out in the span of your breath. You are a witness to cosmic time compression, not because you're moving fast, but because time itself is bent around you. You have not stopped, but the rest of existence has moved on without you. And perhaps that is the most profound aspersion of pausing time, not stopping your own seconds, but watching the rest of the universe slip away and fast forward. There are questions here, beautiful, aching questions. Does something remain of you? Are you lost forever? Or are you recorded somehow, etched into the very curve of space-time? Some scientists believe the information about what falls into a black hole is never truly lost, that it's encoded on the surface, the event horizon itself, in some strange, flattened form, like a cosmic hologram. Others believe you are gone, utterly and completely, not destroyed, but erased from participation. And still, others suggest that inside, at the core, time ends, not metaphorically, not emotionally, literally, as if time itself cannot survive the journey. And yet, your experience, your path, your perspective, it continues until the very end. And what happens at that end? We don't know. Our equations fail us there. They tangle into infinities. They contradict themselves. The physics we trust, the math we revere, it collapses. It's like the star that birthed the black hole at the singularity. We lose the ability to predict, to explain, to imagine, but not to wonder. Because here, on the edge of knowledge, there is still curiosity. There is still the gentle question, what does it mean for time to end? And what if it doesn't? What if time is not a line, but a loop? What if falling in is also falling through to another universe, to another beginning? Some theories whisper of white holes. It's the inverse of black holes, places where matter and energy emerge instead of being trapped. They suggest that a black hole could be a bridge, a tunnel, not death, but transition, the end of time here, and the start of time somewhere else. Perhaps not for you as you are, but for the particles that once were you. Perhaps time doesn't stop in a black hole. Perhaps it detours, and if so, then even the most extreme end, the place where time slows to a crawl, might be a doorway, not a wall, a silence, not a finality, but of waiting, a potential. And so, as you drift in this imagined descent, your body still, your seconds stretched, your thoughts unhurried, you are closer to understanding time by watching it vanish, by feeling it slow, by seeing what happens when it's gripped so tightly, can no longer flow freely. What you learn is not fear, but reverence. For time is not just motion, it is meaning. And when that meaning hesitates, you are left with the quiet truth. Every moment is borrowed, and sacred, even the ones we can no longer measure. You are descending again this time, not through space, but through temperature. It's not a fall of distance, but of motion, of energy, of vibration. Everything around you cools, not like winter wind or icy breath, but like the draining of a heartbeat, the slowing of a whisper, the dimming of a flicker. Atoms are still dancing for now. You're watching them through a glass, pain chilled beyond frost. They jiggle gently, like bees in slow honey. They bump, shift, ripple in their tight cages. But you lower the temperature further, and with every degree, their dance quiets. One by one, their movements shrink until they can barely be seen. Then comes the strange moment. The moment science has chased for decades. The moment when atoms nearly stop moving. Not completely, not perfectly, but so close. They hum instead of dance. So still, they blur into a haze of possibility. You've arrived at absolute zero, or, more truthfully, the edge of it. 0 Kelvin, negative 273.15 degrees Celsius, the coldest temperature. The laws of physics allow not the cold of snow, or the vacuum of space, or the dark side of the moon. This is colder. Colder than anything the natural universe provides on its own. Only deep inside, carefully constructed machines, cryostats, and vacuum chambers can. We approach it. Even then, not quite reach it, because to reach true absolute zero, every particle would have to stop moving. Every electron, every quark, every ghost of motion would need to rest completely. And in quantum reality, that's impossible. There's always a flicker, always a residual uncertainty. This isn't a failure, it's a feature. It's called zero-point energy, and it reminds us that even stillness has its own rhythm. But you're here now, close enough, in this imagined room. The walls hum with silence. The atoms shimmer like statues. Lasers pulse with frozen light, tuned so delicately that they slow atoms as if calming a heartbeat. You are surrounded by Einstein condensates, a state of matter so rare it was only discovered at the turn of this century. Here, multiple atoms collapse into a single shared quantum identity. They stop behaving like individuals and act as one, a vast, collective wave of stillness. It's not just cold. It's organized, peaceful, poetic. And in this slowed world, a question forms softly. If nothing moves, does time pass? You wait. There's no ticking here. No chemical reaction. No heartbeat. No footsteps. Only the hum of trapped atoms doing nearly nothing. But the mind remains. Yours, quiet, but still aware. So you ask again, what is time, if not movement? If no particle changes, if no electron jumps orbit, if no molecule breaks or forms, if no vibration rises or falls. What does it mean for 1 second to follow another? Because in our universe, time is not an abstract idea. It's measured through change, decay, motion, heat, vibrations, pulses of light. All our clocks mechanical, atomic, biological are just mirrors of movement. When you take movement away, what remains? Key inside these frozen chambers. Scientists try to find out. They slow particles with carefully tuned lasers, canceling momentum until the atoms are nearly still. They use magnetic traps to cradle them teeny fields, holding each particle gently, without touching, so as not to add heat. They cool clouds of gas until they behave like single waves. This is not just cold. This is quantum serenity. It's beautiful, delicate, hard to hold for long, because every touch, every breath, every light beam brings warmth, and warmth is motion. Even measuring the atoms risks waking them. But when scientists succeed, when they get close enough to zero to glimpse what time does in near stillness, they find strange things. Superfluidity, where liquids flow without friction. Perfect order, without heat to disturb the pattern. And a kind of unity between particles that defies our normal sense of separation. It's as if nature remembers what it was like before energy stirred it awake. You are watching and feeling and wondering. There are no stories being written here, only the long pause before the next chapter. But that pause holds something sacred. A laboratory this cold tells us not just about temperature, but about time itself, because we learn here that time and temperature are cousins. Temperature is the average motion of particles. More motion, more heat. Less motion, more cold. But time isn't temperature rhythm. It's the count of change. If change slows, time does too. In Einstein's relativity, we already know this. Time slows in strong gravity. It slows with high speed. But now, in this cold world, we see something even quieter. Time may slow just because nothing happens. If you've built a perfect box where not a single thing inside could move, bounce, or interact, would time pass for that box? It's not just theory. The universe itself may contain places near the state, deep intergalactic voids, dark matter halos, or the last gasp of dying stars. And one day in the distant future, when all stars have gone dark, when atoms stop fusing, when even black holes have evaporated, the universe may reach a kind of thermal silence. Not instant, not dramatic, just slower, colder, more still, until only the whisper of quantum uncertainty remains. You lie there in the chamber now, your breaths slowed, your thoughts gentle. Even your own biology knows this kind of cold is not survivable. But in this bedtime imagination, you're not cold. You're listening to silence, to stillness, to the possibility that time itself can pause. Not for you, not for your heart, but for the things around you, for the molecules, for the dances they no longer perform. And it brings a different kind of comfort, the comfort of Kana's understanding that motion is precious, that warmth is life, that time flows because we move, because we think, because we change. So in this frozen place, you feel no fear, only reverence, because you are seeing the border between something and nothing, between rhythm and rest, between light and its absence. And as the atoms sit in their soft prison of near stillness, they wait, not because they are conscious, but because every pause holds the potential for beginning again. It is in this deep quiet that your mind stretches to the next question. If time can slow and nearly stop, could it also reverse? Could it unwind the clock, step backward, and return? And in that quiet wondering, your breath begins to rise once more, gentle and slow, and slow. You are sitting quietly again as the last echo of stillness fades. The world begins to warm, not with heat, but with movement, with change, with the returning rhythm of motion. And you notice it, the difference between silence and sound, between order and disorder, between what was and what becomes. This is where entropy begins, not as a law, but as a feeling. It's the sense that things change in only one direction, that a flame once lit cannot be unburned, that a day once lived cannot be returned. Entropy is the universe's soft exhale. It is the gentle tilt of time, always forward. But what does it mean? You pick up a mug of warm tea. The steam curls upward like memory. You hold it in your hands, feeling the quiet warmth through ceramic. Then let it go. It falls, and in an instant, it breaks. Ceramic shards scatter across the floor. And though you could collect them, glue them, trace the original shape, you know something is lost. It is no longer the same mug. It's no longer whole. The tea is gone. The warmth is fleeing. This irreversibility is entropy. Entropy is in chaos. It's possibility expanding. There are 1,000 ways for the mug to break, 1,000 more for the tea to cool, but only one exact arrangement that was your warm mug, whole, steaming gently for the fall. The universe favors the many over the few, the spread over the still, the ripple over the rest. In the language of thermodynamics, tropy measures how many ways particles can be arranged while still giving you the same big picture outcome. In time, the time you feel, the time you trust, follows this pattern. You read not just a clock. You are a participant in the great unfolding. Entropy increases, and with it, time marches on. It's why eggs break, not unbreak. Why smoke disperses, not regathers. Why memory remembers backwards, but never forwards. You lie back and imagine a world where entropy decreases, where every broken thing reassembles, every cooled fire reignites, every lived moment retreats. But that world is not this one. This one is built on the arrow of time. Always forward. There is no law in physics that truly requires time to move forward. The equations work the same in both directions, but entropy introduces asymmetry, preference, and preference is everything. You picture a deck of cards, perfectly ordered, spades, 2 hearts, in ascending rank, a neat, silent stack. You shuffle once, and the order dissolves. You shuffle again, and it dissolves further. With every motion, disorder grows, and though you could, by luck or intention, restore the original pattern, it is unlikely. It requires effort, planning, a reversal of all the randomness. Entropy is what makes that reversal hard, not impossible in math, unnatural in reality. This is why time feels like a slope, like something you roll down, never climb. Entropy is not the enemy. It is the background hum of the universe growing fuller, messier, more complex. It is what gives direction to memory. It is what turns stardust into stars, stars into planets, planets into life, and life into stories. Entropy is also in your body. Each breath you take increases entropy by turning oxygen into carbon dioxide, warmth, motion. Each thought rearranges neurons, consumes glucose, generates heat. Even your dreams stir entropy. But in return, you get experience, you get to be. You rest on your back now, letting this thought settle over you like a soft blanket. The laws of physics allow time to go both ways, but you don't. Your body doesn't. Your biology flows forward. Your cells divide in age. Your skin remembers sun. Your eyes see light that left stars long before you were born. Entropy allows you to evolve, to age, to grow. And so, time is not just movement, it is also memory, because memory is an asymmetry. You remember the past, not the future. You know what has happened. You do not know what will. This alone creates a sense of direction. Imagine, for a moment, you had perfect memory of the future and none of the past. The world would feel reversed, backward. You would still experience time, but from a different vantage point. That's the power of entropy. It defines what knowing means. It shapes your experience of time into a journey rather than a blur. And so, the arrow of time doesn't pierce you, it guides you. Even stars, those giants of heat and gravity, follow entropy's path. They begin as clouds of hydrogen ordered, cool, diffuse dot. Then gravity pulls, and fusion ignites. They shine, they flare. They roar with life, but over billions of years, they lose that structure. They burn, collapse, scatter. Cool. A star dies, not with a blink, but with a rise in entropy. Spreading out of energy. Eventually, even black holes radiate. They leak heat into the universe, slowly losing mass. One day, perhaps, they too will vanish, and entropy will win again. Not with violence, but with stillness, with balance. You feel that now. Not fear, not sadness, but acceptance. Entropy is not decay. It is movement, possibility, diversity. A shattered mirror reflects more angles than a perfect one, and in those angles, new beauty is found. You look around your room, the creases in your blanket, the dust motes in the air, the cooling tea on your bedside table, all tiny signs of entropy, quiet, constant, unhurried, each one a footprint of time moving forward. And so you don't fight it, you flow with it, you soften into it, because without entropy, could not breathe, could not dream, could not be. You would be frozen in a perfect stillness, a low entropy state with no history, no memory, no future. And so, even as entropy grows, you are grateful, because in that growth, you are here. A moment between past and future, a point in the great unfolding. And as you close your eyes, letting time move without resistance, another question rises softly in your chest. If time has an arrow, could it ever bend? Could it ever turn around or fold in upon itself? And somewhere deep in your thoughts, the whisper of reversal begins to form. You breathe in, and for a moment, you wonder what if this breath could be returned, not just exhaled, but rewound, pulled back into your lungs. Not as air, but as time. What if every heartbeat could beat backward, every blink become unblinking, every thought unspool like thread drawn gently from the needle's eye? You're not the first to wonder this. Humans have always whispered about reversing time, in regrets, in daydreams, in longing, in stories where clocks unwind and lost days return. But now you wonder from a quieter place, not with emotion, but with curiosity. What does physics say? Could time truly run backward? You start with the basics, most laws of nature. Deep ones, the ones in equations don't care which direction time flows. You toss a ball, it arcs through the air, reverse the footage, and the math still works. The laws of motion, the equations of gravity, even the rules of quantum interactions, they remain valid in both directions. This symmetry is known as time reversal, invariance, a fancy term for a simple truth. The universe's rules don't demand time to move one way. But then, why does it? Why don't we see broken cups leaping whole onto shelves? Why don't memories arrive from the future? Why does the past feel fixed and the future unknown? Entropy, again. Entropy, that soft force from the last chapter, breaks the symmetry. Entropy says, things scatter, not regroup. Heat flows from hot to cold. Mess spreads, so even though the math allows backward time, the universe doesn't play it that way. Still, in the quiet corners of physics, the dream of reversal lingers in quantum mechanics, especially. You imagine a world too small for time to have a strong opinion. Particles blink in and out, exist in multiple states, entangle and disentangle at this scale. Time gets fuzzy, and in that fuzziness, strange things become possible. Some interpretations suggest particles might remember the future, or that future measurements ripple backward, influencing the past. These aren't certainties. They're whispers in the math, but they invite you to ask, is memory just a one-way street, or could it be, in some secret way, folded? You consider your own memories. Are they fixed snapshots or looping stories? When you recall a moment from childhood, do you replay it as it was? Or do you rebuild it, changing it ever so slightly with each remembering? Memory itself may be a kind of time travel, not of the body, but of the mind. And if memory can move backward, could reality? There are theories. Some physicists imagine the entire universe as a four-dimensional object, past, present, and future, all laid out like a frozen river. In this view, you are not a being moving through time. You are a line in spacedom, an already drawn path, and your consciousness is just a spotlight moving along that path, giving you the illusion of forward motion. Others propose the universe splits again and again. Each moment you choose forks reality, creating a multiverse of paths. Some where you turned left, some where you turned right. Could one of those paths be reversed? Could another you be unliving your life, breath by breath, thought by thought, perhaps? But what would it feel like if time reversed? what would you feel? Would you watch tears climb your cheeks, with spoken words suck back into your throat, one by one, from the snow? Or would you not feel it at all? Would it be a seamless illusion, like watching a river from inside the current? You lie still and imagine, what would the world look like, reversed? A tree ungrows, branches shrink, buds curl back. Seeds rise from soil. Rain flies upward into clouds. The sun arcs backward, casting morning into night. Your age reduces. Hair darkens. Wrinkles smooth. The lullaby unhums, note by note, into silence. It's not unpleasant. It's just unnatural, because reversal is not what life is built for. Your biology flows forward, cells divide. DNA unwinds, muscles learn. Even forgetting is directional. You can forget what you once knew, but you cannot unforget something you never learned. This, too, is time's signature. Still, dreams are different. In dreams, time is UNANCHORED. You can start at the ending, then move to the beginning. You can revisit moments long past, rewrite them entirely. A single sleep can contain decades, or a single breath stretched into eternity. In dreams, the laws bend, and maybe, somewhere inside that dream logic is a clue, a reminder that time is not just measured in seconds, but in experience. You drift back to the world of particles, to physics. Again, you learn that there is one major force that doesn't play nice with time symmetry. It's the weak nuclear force. Of the four fundamental forces: gravity, electromagnetism, strong nuclear, and weak nuclear. It's the only one that behaves differently if time is reversed. In experiments, this has been seen in the decay of particles called kaons. They decay in ways that favor forward time. This is called CP violation, and it might be the key to explaining why the universe favors matter over antimatter. A small, subtle imbalance, a bias, a lean toward forward. And so, maybe the dream of reversing time is just that, a dream. Not because it's impossible in theory, but because the universe has chosen a direction, and once chosen, the path continues. You wonder if time reversal were possible. Would we recognize it? Would it feel like a glitch? A déjà vu? It's a moment that repeats backward, then forward again? Physicists think time loops might exist in certain conditions, enclosed time-like curves. These are paths through space-time that circle back to themselves, like Mobius strips of time. But such loops would require exotic conditions: wormholes, rotating, black holes, negative energy, not things found in your garden. Still, possibility is beautiful, not because it's likely, but because it stretches the mind. It invites humility, a reminder that time, as you know it, is not absolute. It's flexible, malleable, contextual, not a river, but a field, not a ticking clock, but a dance of change. And you are a dancer within it. You close your eyes again and breathe, not backward, not forward, just here, and you feel a quiet shift, not in time, but in attention, a softness in your thoughts, a wonder that lingers. Because if time cannot be reversed, then each moment is unique. Each second, once lived, becomes unrepeatable, and that makes this one sacred. You float there, not trying to reverse time, but listening to it, its hum, its warmth, its one-way lullaby. And as that hum continues, your thoughts drift gently to the smallest places, where time becomes blurry, where even cause and effect lose their grip, where reality hesitates. Just for a breath, you're used to the world unfolding one frame at a time. The cup rests on the table. Then it wobbles. Then it falls. Then it shatters. Before, during, after. Sequence, direction, consequence. But now we go smaller, past the table, past the molecules of the cup, past the atoms and the porcelain dot, down into the realm where reality forgets how to behave. The quantum realm here. Something strange happens. A particle does not have a location. It has locations. It doesn't have a speed. It has speeds. It doesn't move from one thing to the next. It is multiple things at once. This is called superposition. Imagine a coin tossed into the air in the macro world, the world of hands and tables and clocks. The coin is either heads or tails once it lands, but in the quantum world, the coin doesn't land. It stays in a kind of quiet flutter, state of both, until you look. Not just a mystery, not just a puzzle, but a fundamental feature of how tiny things behave. You pause to think about that. What does it mean for something to be two things at once? You open a door and the light is either on or off, but a quantum particle is like a room with a light. It's both on and off, and only when you open the door does it decide. This strange property is not about illusion. It's not a metaphor. It is tested, verified, mathematical. You breathe in. Superposition, like time, is not easy to feel, but imagine it like this. You're standing at a fork in the road. Two paths, left and right. In the classical world, you pick one and walk, but in the quantum world, you walk both. You take both paths. You explore both forests. You live both lives, and only later, when someone asks, which way did you go? Only then does the answer settle into one truth. Before the question, both were true. This is more than poetry. It's the basis of quantum computing. It's why your body, your electronics, even the sun's nuclear fusion works. But we're not talking about computers right now. We're talking about time and what happens to it in this shimmering, split reality place. Because, in superposition, time doesn't tick the way it does for you. A particle in superposition doesn't go from a 2B dot. It exists at A and B simultaneously. No sequence. No before dash and dash after. Just ... possibility. And in that stillness, something happens. Time becomes optional, or perhaps it's invisible. It's not that time doesn't exist. It's that it's folded, flat, waiting, like deck of cards fanned across the table. But no hand yet played. The particle is all hands, all cards, all timelines, until it is observed, until a measurement is made. And then, clicked out, one moment becomes real. One timeline is chosen, and the rest, gone. Maybe they never were. Maybe they still are. You don't know. No one really does. This brings you to one of the most delicate and unsettling concepts in physics. The measurement problem. You ask a particle, where are you? It suddenly, it is, somewhere. But before you asked, before the interaction, it wasn't anywhere at all. Or rather, it was everywhere it might have been. This makes you wonder, is observation what creates reality? Is you looking the thing that makes the moment real? Some interpretations say yes. This is the idea behind the Copenhagen interpretation, that the wave function, the mathematical expression of a particle's possible states, collapses into one outcome when observed. But other physicists are uneasy with this. They ask, what counts as observation? Does it have to be a human, a conscious being, a Geiger counter? Is the universe watching itself? Still others say, maybe the wave function never collapses. Maybe every possibility continues somewhere else. This leads you to the many worlds interpretation, a poetic, eerie idea that for every possible outcome, the universe splits in one. The particle is here, in another, it's there. And so, every moment of possibility becomes a fork, not just in thought, but in reality. A new world blooms beside your own, not forward, not backward, but sideways. A garden of timelines, all equally real, all untouched by each other. You lie still and think. If that's true, then time is not one thread. It is a braid, or a tree, or a web, and the web is quiet. Each strand, a timeline. Each node, a moment. Somewhere, perhaps, another version of you is reading these same words. In a room slightly warmer, with rain tapping softly at the window. Or maybe not. Maybe that's just metaphor. But in the quantum world, okay, metaphor and math grow close. And this brings you to one more wonder. Quantum entanglement. Two particles, once entangled, remain connected, no matter how far apart. Measure one, and the other responds instantly. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. He didn't like it, but it's real. It's been tested. It's happening all the time, even now. So again, what does this mean for time? For before and after? 'Cause entanglement doesn't care about distance or delay. It operates as if space and time were illusions, as if something deeper binds reality. Something outside time. And so you float again into thought. Could there be a place outside time, not in space, not in memory, but in pure possibility? Could the universe hold pockets where nothing happens, and yet everything might, where time is not frozen, but paused, like breath before speech? Some physicists point to the Wheeler-DeWitt equation, used in quantum gravity. It's an equation that tries to describe the whole universe. But strangely, it doesn't contain time. No T in the math, just relationships between states. No ticking. This leads to what's called the problem of time in quantum gravity. If the universe, in its totality, doesn't require time, then why do you experience it? What creates the illusion of flow? Some suggest it's emergent, that time, like heat or pressure, arises from deeper, timeless laws. Others think time is fundamental. We just haven't understood it properly. But in these unresolved places, these timeless cracks in reality, one thing becomes clear. Your experience of time, this steady flow, this river of seconds, is not the whole story. It's not false, but it's local. It's shaped by the scale you live in, by the biology you, where, by the way, your neurons process cause and effect. You are time-bound, but time itself may not be. So you close your eyes again. It's time not to sleep, but to listen to that whisper beneath the ticking, to the moment that is not yet chosen itself, to the possibility that beneath everything, beneath matter, motion and memory, is a space where all paths wait. No hurry, no order, just presence, and you, breathing in the quiet of that in-dash between still, soft, U-N-E-S-U-R-E-D. And as you float there, one last thought rises. If time is born from motion, then maybe timelessness is not the end, but the beginning. The space from which time emerges, the silence from which music begins. Take a breath, not a deep one, just the kind your body does when you aren't noticing. Now listen, not with your ears, but with your presence. Can you feel the rhythm, the rise, the fall, the pulse of your own being? There's a beat, and then another. But always in between, there is a pause. That tiny pause is what this chapter is about. Not the heartbeat, but the space between. It's easy to miss. Modern life skips past it. Science, clocks, calendars, they all mark the events, emotions, the peaks. But you're not made of peaks. You are made just as much of pauses, of rests, of moments where nothing presses forward. This is where the mystery lies, in that space between the beats of your heart. Time softens. It does not stop, but it slows in a way you can't measure with a stopwatch, because this isn't a clock's second. It's an emotional second, a neural second, a biological breath. Your heart doesn't beat like a metronome. It listens to your lungs, to your brain, to your body's needs. Each pause between pulses is a negotiation, a decision made by cells and signals, telling your heart when to move again. So in truth, the pause isn't empty. It's full of listening. It's full of waiting. And yet, it feels like stillness. This kind of stillness is not just a poetic idea. It is real. It is measurable. Doctors and neuroscientists call it heart rate variability, the slight variation in time between your heartbeats when you're calm, rested, and emotionally grounded. This variability increases. Your body becomes more adaptive, more responsive. You become better at pausing, more able to listen to the world and yourself. In ancient practices, meditation, prayer, breathwork, this pause is where transformation begins. The breath in, a heartbeat. The breath out, another. But in between, stillness. This stillness sends signals to the brainstem, to the vagus nerve, to the systems that tell your body you're safe. It slows inflammation. It softens your muscles. It opens your attention. It's like the ocean after a storm to calm. That is not nothing, but everything returning to balance. In these pauses, your body makes decisions about healing. It sends white blood cells to where they're needed. It balances hormones. It repairs micro tears in your muscles. All of this inside the space between your own heartbeats. If time had a doorway, it might look like this. Not a door that swings wide, but a thin shimmer in the air. It's like heat above asphalt, easy to walk past, hard to see, but if you pause, and only then do you notice it's there. Some scientists call these spaces liminal zones, thresholds, moments between definitions. Not this, not that, not inhale, not exhale, not thought, not silence, a kind of twilight within yourself. You live through hundreds of these a day without noticing. When you blink and the world resets. When you finish a sentence and the room returns. When a song ends and you wait for the next. We fear silence in modern life. We fill it with devices, with scrolls, with sound. But silence is a sense. Too, it's how your brain notices that something matters, that something just changed, or didn't, in sleep. These liminal pauses widen. Your heartbeat slows. The pauses stretched your brain, drops into a new rhythm. Theta, delta, slow waves that don't speak in words, but in feelings. Here, memories consolidate, emotions soften. The day replays itself gently until what's important sticks, and what's not floats away. Dreams often come during these shifts, moments when brain waves cross thresholds between alertness and rest, between logic and image, between known and unknown. So again, the question returns, can time be paused? Maybe not in the cosmic sense, but in the bodily sense. Yes, it happens every night. It happens every time. You stop, really stop, and let yourself be nowhere for a moment. It happens when you stare at the ocean, when you lie under a tree, when someone holds your hand and says nothing. That's the strange thing about these moments. They contain nothing, but they carry everything in physics. We talk about Planck time, the smallest possible unit of time, roughly 10 d seconds below this. Our equations stop working. We don't know what time means anymore, but your body has its own kind of Planck time, a subjective threshold, a sense of when presence becomes perception, not measured by math, but by meaning. That's what this pause is. Your mind brushing against the edge of meaning, against the moment just before a choice, a thought, a feeling, and a pause, long or short, is sacred. You may not think of it that way, but your nervous system does. It builds its rhythms around it in music. There's a term, rest, a note not played, but the silence is part of the song. Without the rest, the melody loses its breath. So, too, in life, the pause between heartbeats isn't a flaw in the system. It is the system. It's what allows complexity, variation, surprise. Without it, every beat would be the same. Every thought, so fast, every moment, identical. The pause is where life lives. Even the word emotion comes from Latin immover, to move. But all movement begins with stillness, a potential, a pause, a moment just before something changes. That is where you live. Now, in this sentence, in this heartbeat, in this pause, and when you return to the world, to the pace, the pressure, the plans, this space will still be there. You can come back, not with a ticket, not with effort, just by noticing, by feeling the moment between your own pulses, by remembering that you are not just your thoughts, you are the breath between them, and that's enough. It always has been. Now, rest here. Let the next chapter rise like a tide. Just past the pause. You've always been told time moves forward. A straight line, 1 second after another. It's like beads on a string. But time is not a string. It is not even a path. It is more like a sheet, a blanket, gently rippling under the weight of existence. Spetamine, a word that sounds cold in textbooks, but when you close your eyes, you might feel it as something warmer. Imagine lying back on a great ocean, not on the surface, but inside it, floating, carried not by waves of water, but by something you can't touch. Still. It moves you. It curves and rolls with the mass of stars, planets, and even your own body. Einstein gave us this idea that space and time are not separate. That time does not tick like a detached rhythm. It stretches when you climb a mountain. It bends when you lie beside someone you love. It curves more the closer you are to something heavy, like the earth, beneath your feet. So you don't walk on a straight road through time. You ride on the folds of Tana, space-time itself. Let's imagine this in your own room, as you lie still. Everything around you is pulling gently on the fabric. You, your bed, the walls, the quiet weight of air. This pull is not dramatic. You don't feel it as movement, but your heartbeat is a response to it. Your breath is shaped by it. Even light bends around you slightly, not enough to notice with your eyes, but enough to matter. And if light bends, so does time. The room you think of as still is moving ever so slightly. In space-time, a soft glide, an unmeasured ripple. Everything affects this fabric. A person walking by, a passing satellite, a mountain range 500 miles away. Each one dents it, tugs it, reshapes it. Now imagine the planet as a giant ball placed on a thick, stretchable sheet. The Earth presses into that sheet, not as a whole, but as a dip, a curved impression. If you roll a marble near that dip, say the moon, it doesn't fall straight into the planet. It circles over and over, not because it's tied by an invisible rope, but because it's following the curves in the fabric. That's gravity, not a force pulling. It's downward, with the shape of space and time around something with mass, and so you float too, in your own small orbit, riding the grooves carved by stars and planets, and even atoms. You are not just in space state you are part of it. You shape it, even the weight of your presence. The gentle mass of your body changes the fabric. It's small, imperceptible, but it's there. You curve space-time just by being. That's not poetry. That's physics. So when you walk, you're not just stepping across the floor. You're slightly shifting the stage beneath you. And when you rest, like now, space-time still responds. It cradles you. Your thoughts don't float in a void. They drift within the folds of a soft, cosmic cloth. There's something peaceful about that, isn't there? That you're always held, always part of a structure you can't see, but that never forgets you. Space-time is not a grid. It's not a box. It's not something you fall through like a trap. It is more like breath. It expands. It contracts. It follows. Rhythm. Galaxies stretch the fabric outward. A quiet exhale. Black holes pinch it inward. An intense inhale in between those extremes. You lie somewhere quiet, somewhere ordinary, somewhere sacred. Every signal your brain sends, a thought, a twitch, dream moves through spacetime. not around it, not beside it, through it. Even light, the fastest thing we know, is just a ripple traveling on that same sea, and that ripple is shaped, bent, even slowed, near great masses. Like the sun, light takes longer paths. That's why, during an eclipse, stars appear to shift. They don't actually move. Their lights simply curves through space-time's shape the way sound warps around a corner, or a river bends around a stone. This bending is not error. It is the nature of the universe. Everything, even truth, must flow through this. It's fabric that includes you, your memories, your sense of the present, your hopes. Time does not pass. Time holds you. You move with it. The very idea of now is different depending on where you stand or how fast you go. This was one of Einstein's greatest insights, that there is no single, universal now, only many nows, layered like a quiet braid through the cosmos. Your now, a star's now, photons, now, all slightly different, but all connected. It's not chaotic, it's just curved, woven, alive. And in this weaving, time sometimes feels strange, long when you wait, short when you love, frozen in moments of fear, expanded in dreams. But beneath all those feelings, space-time remains. It doesn't care how you experience it, but it responds. Always. Even your sleep has rhythm because of SPACETIME. Your circadian clock, the timing system inside your brain, was shaped by the light that rides through space-time. Sunrise, sunset. They're not just light shows, they're gentle anchors, markings on the fabric to help you know when to wake, when to dream, and in space, aboard ships and stations far above Earth, those rhythms drift without gravity, without day or night. Time becomes untethered. Astronauts speak of time warping emotionally. Days feel like moments. Moments feel like days. Space-time doesn't vanish, but your sense of it becomes soft, harder to hold. Yet, even then, you are still held, still wrapped, still part of the curve. So, what does all this mean as you lie here? It means you're never separate, never outside of time, even in your stillness. You move, even in your sleep. You shape the waves of your body. Your warmth, your presence flow into the fabric, and that fabric flows back. We often think of time as an arrow, straight, linear, pointing toward the future. But space-time is more like silk. It stretches, it drapes, it folds. And in those folds, who's to say what's past, what's future, what's now? You may be resting in a moment that's curved toward someone else's beginning, or folded near your own memory. These are not fantasies, they're possibilities, quiet and strange, like stars behind clouds. As you rest, imagine this. You're not just falling asleep, you're floating deeper into the folds, where light is slow, where time is soft, where the fabric of the universe is not something apart from you, but something you help shape just by breathing. And if you listen closely enough, if you rest deeply enough, you may begin to feel the next ripple, the next question, the next soft bend in time. You sit still, you try to feel the moment. This one, right here. You listen to the air in the room, the breath in your chest, the whisper of thought rising and dissolving. And just as you notice it, it's gone. The now has moved. You try again, but every moment you name as now has already slipped into memory. That's the strange thing. You never quite arrive at the present. You only feel the echo of it. It's the trace of something that just was. It's like trying to hold water between your fingers. The tighter you grip, the faster it escapes. The present is elusive, and yet, it's the only place you've ever lived. You cannot go back to the past. You cannot jump forward into the future. You are always somehow in this slippery in-dash between. So, what is the present? Is it a real thing? A measurable slice of time? Oh, Is it an illusion your brain creates? A stitched-together narrative made of what just happened and what you expect next? Neuroscientists have studied this. They call it the specious present. It's a short duration your brain treats as one unified now, about 3 seconds. That's all. In those 3 seconds, your senses synchronize, your eyes, ears, skin, balance. Thought they align like an orchestra hitting one harmonious note before moving on. You don't live in microseconds. You live in this soft, moving window. But even that is delayed. Every sensation you feel, touch, sight, sound, takes time to reach your brain. Milliseconds pass between the world and your awareness. Your brain gathers them, interprets them, smooths them into a present moment. It's a kind illusion, a well-meaning lie. You feel like you're here, right now, but you're always a little behind, living in a curated version of reality, a playback edited for continuity. This isn't failure, it's how consciousness works. Your mind is not a mirror, it's a storyteller, and the story it tells is always just slightly out of sync with the world. Still, you believe in now, you live by it, you make decisions in it, you comfort others with be here, now, even if the here is slippery, and the now is already a memory. Why does this matter? Because it means the present is not a point. It's a process, not a single dot on a timeline. The range, a wave shaped by perception, attention, emotion, and you're not just in the present. You are making it every choice you notice. Every breath you follow helps define what you call now. But physics tells a stranger story. In the universe, time doesn't need a present. The equations of motion, from Newton to Einstein, work without it. They describe how things change, how energy flows, how gravity bends, but they don't mark a now. There is no special moment labeled present in the math of the cosmos. Just coordinates, space, and time, woven together. All events, past and future, written into space-time like ink on paper. From that perspective, every moment, your birth, your first memory, its very breath already exists, already has a place, already has happened. You feel time flowing, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe all of time is already, and consciousness just moves through it, like a flashlight scanning across a painting, one slice at a time, always forward, but only because that's how your mind works, not because time does. Some physicists call this the block universe, past, present, future, all equally real, all equally still. And yet, you feel motion, you feel change, you feel choice. Is that just chemistry? Just the unfolding of entropy? Or is there more? Maybe the present isn't a place on a line. Maybe it's a quality, a presence, a state of attention when you watch the sky fade into dusk, when you hear your heartbeat slow in the dark, when you close your eyes and feel your body held by gravity, by stillness, by silence. You are not grabbing the present, you are letting it land, like a leaf settling on water. You don't force the now, you receive it, and it changes its shape depending on how you listen. Some cultures think of time not as a path, but a circle. The present repeats seasons, cycles, sunsets, even in your cells. Time loops, your circadian rhythm, your heartbeat, your breath, each one brings you back, not to the same point, but to the same kind of moment, a homecoming of attention, the now. Again, different, but familiar. Could it be that the present isn't about when, but about how you notice, how you exist, how you feel the world around you and within you? Without dividing it into before and after, could it be that the present is not a tick of the clock, but a kind of alignment, a resonance, like two instruments tuning to the same pitch, Q, in the world, briefly in tune? It doesn't last, it doesn't have to, but when it happens, you feel it, peace, presence, stillness, not because the world has paused, but because your mind has just enough. And in that pause, Something ancient returns, a knowing that before words and thoughts and memory, you were always here, not in time, but in being. Maybe present is the only place where being can happen, the only room where the light is on. All the rest, past and future, are storage closets of the soul. But now is where you walk, where you breathe, where you sleep. It's fragile, easily. Broken distractions pull you away, regret and anticipation, but the present does not punish you for leaving. It waits like a soft pulse beneath your thoughts, ready when you are, ready now. And as you drift, you begin to sense that this moment isn't alone, that it connects that to something deeper, to something below words, to a question that can't be answered with language alone. If time is not what it seems, if the present is only perception, then what happens when no one watches? What happens when a star burns in a galaxy with no name and no one knows it? Does time still pass? Or is time itself waiting to be seen? Somewhere far beyond the last star you can name, beyond the galaxies you've seen in paintings and telescopes, beyond even the hum of cosmic background light, there is a place where nothing watches. No mind, no thought, no memory, only space and silence. Here, in this velvet nothingness, a particle drifts. Maybe it decays. Maybe it spins. Maybe it vanishes into another particle. And the question echoes softly. Did time pass there? No one saw the moment? Did it happen? This isn't a riddle. It's a physics question, and it presses gently on the boundary between reality and perception. You see, on Earth, time is woven into observation. Your brain marks it with rhythm, memory, and change. You know it's morning because the light is different. You know it's evening because your body begins to quiet. But out there where no sun rises, no skin senses the shift, what does time become? Let's begin smaller. In a sealed box, a radioactive atom sits. It may decay in the next second. It may not. Schrödinger's cat lives inside this metaphor, both alive and dead until observed. The atom is caught in superpositioning uncertain state, and some interpretations of quantum mechanics whisper that without measurement, there is no definite outcome. So again, we ask, if no one observes decay, does the atom decay? And if no one observes time, does time unfold? This idea unsettles, shakes the sturdy chair you sit on, but it also opens a gentler thought, that perhaps time is not only about change, but about witness change, a memory, a difference, story. If a second passes without any record, was it really a second? Imagine a place with no particles, no forces, no motion, a perfect vacuum stretched across light-years. In this infinite silence, does time still tick? The equations say yes. General relativity describes time as a dimension. It's inseparable from space. Even if nothing moves, time still exists as a coordinate. But for whom? If no being experiences that coordinate, does it hold meaning? You are not a coordinate. You are a feeler of time, container of memory. You live inside unfolding. So when you picture this empty place, your mind wants to fill it with sound, with motion, with sequence. But space does not require your story. It simply is. And perhaps time does the same. Yet, even in this loneliness, there are shadows of attention, telescopes that listen for gravitational waves, instruments that count particle interactions in the dark. These are our extensions, our artificial eyes. They become the witnesses. And so even distant collisions between black holes gain meaning, not because they occurred, but because we know they occurred. We measured their tremble in spectrometry. We translated that tremble into mark on a graph, into a story, into a now. But here is the strange curve. Most of the universe will never be observed. Most of its moments will pass in total anonymity, and still, physics treats them as real. Is that faith, or is that humility? To trust that time flows even when no one is looking. To believe in a cosmos that doesn't need your attention to exist. And yet, something in you resists, because your version of time is stitched with motion, with meaning. You remember birthdays, losses, sunsets. You carry the weight of time not in equations, but in feelings. So, what happens to time stripped of feeling? Time without birthdays, without watchers, without stories. It becomes strange, not false, just empty. And maybe that's the point. Time itself does not need attention, but meaning does, without observation. Time is just a canvas, without a witness. It holds no picture, but when you arrive, when you breathe and look and feel suddenly, time paints something, a moment, a now. You are the observer. You are what gives shape to the invisible passing. But you are also part of the system. Your attention changes the moment, simply by being in it. This is not poetry. This is quantum theory. To observe is to alter. To watch is to participate. So time becomes a duet between what is and what is seen in the distant dark, where no eye ever gazes. Time still flows, but it sings no melody. It casts no shadow, until, perhaps, a photon stumbles into a rock, or a particle splits. And if one day we measure it years later, from a pharaoh, then will that moment be reborn as real in our minds? Until then, it drifts in the void, untouched. UNREMEMBERED. Unfelt. And maybe that's okay. Maybe the universe doesn't need us to be full. Maybe it holds its own kind of completeness, one not dependent on perception, one that simply is. But still, something quiet stirs inside you, a wondering, a feeling that time becomes most itself when shared, when witnessed, when held gently in the folds of memory. You cannot watch every second of the cosmos. You cannot witness every flicker of starlight. But you can hold this one, this breath, this gentle unfolding. And as you do, you become the clock, the witness, the meaning. And in your stillness, the universe echoes back, yes, I am here, too. And maybe time, then, is not the tick of a clock, but the space between two gazes, two pulses of attention, yours and the universe's. Maybe when those two align, time becomes something more than math. It becomes communion. And in the next chapter, you'll follow time deeper, not into physics, but into the quiet ticking inside your chest, where biology keeps its own clock, beating through sleep, thought, and memory, waiting for silence, waiting for you. You wake before your alarm. The room is dim, the air still, and though you did not plan it, your body knows it's morning. It isn't chance. It's not luck. It's rhythm. A rhythm written deep in your cells, flowing beneath your thoughts, beneath even your dreams. You are not just in time. You are made of it. All life runs on cycles, and you, too, are a cycle. Layers of them, folded within. There is the breath you take every few seconds, the heartbeat that pulses every instant, the temperature that shifts across the day, and then, beneath them all, the circadian rhythm, a 24-hour wave pulsing through every cell in your body. You don't just move through the day moves through you. The light outside triggers sensors in your eyes. Those sensors send signals to a tiny bundle of neurons. Deep in your brain, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, just 20,000 cells, but they are your master clock. They orchestrate your body's time. Every tissue, every organ, every system listens to this signal. And when the light fades, the signal shifts. Melatonin begins to rise. Your body cools. Your energy slows. You feel sleepy, not because of the dark, but because your clock has changed the song. inside your brain. Neurons begin humming. Oh, a lullaby of chemicals and temperature. You think sleep is a choice, but it's more like a surrender. A surrender to the rhythm that has always been with you since the womb. Even in darkness, your body still tries to follow. Light dot in caves, on submarines, in isolated rooms. People's rhythms drift, but they keep circling close to 24 hours. It's in our biology, a clock not tied to technology, but to the turning of Earth itself. And this rhythm isn't only about sleep. Your body temperature rises in the afternoon, helping your muscles move more easily. Your alertness peaks around midday. Your reaction time sharpens. Your digestion follows. A rhythm to certain enzymes rise and fall depending on the hour. Even your mood is part of this wave, and the rhythm continues into night. Your brain releases a flood of maintenance workers. Proteins sweep away waste from the day. Memories settle into longer storage. Your immune system resets. You're not just unconscious, you're rebooting. All of this happening, whether you think of it or not. This is the clock inside you. But there's more than one dot beyond the brain. Each of your cells carries its own smaller clock. These clocks use molecules, tiny gears of protein that rise and fall in a 24-hour pattern. Even in a petri dish, away from light and sound, your liver cells keep ticking. They remember the day dot and when cells synchronize with each other. Your body runs smoothly, but when they fall out of sync, when your sleep changes, your eating shifts, your exposure to light alters, the rhythm stumbles. You feel it as jet lag. Grog, INESS.irritability.org. Even illness, because time isn't just outside, it's in your chemistry, and it needs harmony. Consider the ultradian rhythms, shorter cycles that repeat many times a day. Attention rises and falls in 90-minute waves. Hormones pulse. Alertness climbs, then dips. You're not meant to be constant. You are meant to rise and fall again and again. Even your emotions follow cycles. And then there are the longer rhythms, infradian cycles, like menstruation, or the lunar rhythms seen in animals and plants, or seasonal shifts that still whisper to your body. Grow, rest, wait. Your body has many clocks, not just one. Some align with the sun, some with other people, some with needs that go beyond time, like hunger, touch, rest, and each of these clocks can fall out of tune. When you work late under bright light, when meals become irregular, when stress overrides sleep, when screens flood your eyes long past sunset. These small disruptions confuse the system, like a symphony with no conductor. The music continues, but it loses grace, and yet it can be restored. The body is forgiving. You can realign. You can step, get back into rhythm, wake with the sun, eat with intention, rest before exhaustion. Allow stillness when the body asks, and in doing so, you remind your cells, it's time. Time to heal. Time to rest. Time to rise. Your skin, too, listens to these cycles. Wound healing speeds up during certain times of day. Your sense of smell sharpens in the evening. Even your sensitivity to pain changes depending on the hour. The more scientists look, the more they find the same truth. You are not static. You are time-made flesh. Even your genes follow rhythms. Genes related to inflammation, repair, digestion. They switch on and off depending on the time. And now, doctors are learning to time medicine to these patterns. This is chronotherapy. Some cancer drugs work best when taken in sync with the body's rhythms. Some blood pressure meds. 2. We are learning that the clock isn't just important, it's vital. Time is not the background, it's the framework. And what about the rhythms we feel but cannot name? The sense of being off, the feeling of too late, the longing to return to some kind of natural beat. Maybe those are reminders, not that you're broken, but that your inner clock is calling you. It's home to reset, to breathe, to step back into a rhythm older than memory, older than thought. When you watch the sunrise, when you feel sleep settle in your bones, before midnight, when you let your body slow with the evening, you're not being lazy. You're being aligned. You're answering the clock that's always known when to rest and when you sleep. That rhythm doesn't stop. It deepens. Your body slips into cycles of light and deep sleep, each with their own waves of brain activity. Your temperature drops. Your breathing slows. Hormones rise. Cells renew. And somewhere in the center of it all, your heart keeps time. Not like a metronome, but like a drum in the distance. Soft, steady, faithful. You are not falling out of time. You are dancing through it. And as you drift into sleep, you may feel that rhythm cradling you. The rhythm of your breath, your cells, your self. You are not late. You are not early. You are exactly where your body has brought you. Inside the clock, inside the rhythm, inside time. And as the next breath comes, so does the question. If this rhythm lives in you, where did it come from? Who or what wound your clock? That soft mystery will carry us now into a silence deeper than biology, to ask what happens if that rhythm ever truly stops. You sit quietly, not just with your body, but with your thoughts. Everything in you softens, not from tiredness or from surrender. There is no urge to move, no story to chase, just breath, then breath again. And in this space, something strange begins to shimmer. What would happen if nothing moved? No wind in the trees, no humming in the wires, no spin of electrons, no orbit of moons. Could the universe pause? And if it did, would time still pass? It's a question scientists don't ask lightly, because time in physics is not separate from space. It's woven together like the threads of a vast, invisible fabric. We call it space timing. It stretches, it curves, it ripples, and motion is how we measured its passage. No change, no time, at least. That's one view. Others say time exists whether we feel it or not, like a river running even when no one drinks. But let's imagine for a moment that everything truly stops. No atoms, it's vibrating, no light flickering, no hearts beating. This is the edge. Absolute zero is the closest we've come. A temperature so cold, motion nearly vanishes. Nearly, but not completely. Even there, tiny quantum jitters remain. The universe never fully stops, it seems, unwilling to pause. And yet, we wonder, if it did, would time halt? Would clocks freeze? Would the stars hold their breath? Or would time still flow, unseen, unfelt, like wind over a still pond? Maybe time isn't tied to motion, but to possibility. The chance that something could move, that a particle might shift, even if it doesn't. This is the strange frontier, where physics meets philosophy, where equations hold their breath, and meaning begins to blur. You might ask, why does this matter? Why think about a paused universe? Because in the stillness, we glimpse something rare, a different way of being. Not faster, not louder, not more productive, just being. And from this, we learn, stillness is not the absence of life. It is its essence in your body. When all else calms, your heartbeat becomes audible, your thoughts quiet enough to be heard in the universe. A moment of perfect stillness might reveal truths buried by noise. What if? Stillness isn't the end of time, but its most honest form. Let's return to physics. In quantum mechanics, particles don't move like marbles. They exist in probability clouds, smeared across space and time. They flicker in and out of potential. It's only when we observe them, measure them, that they choose a state. In this view, motion isn't constant. It's a dance between stillness and choice. Time then becomes less about ticking and more about revealing. Each moment is not a step, it's a curtain drawn back, a possibility crystallized. So now imagine the universe pausing, not as death, but as rest, like a breath held between notes of music, not silence, but preparation, not the end, but the center. This brings us to a more poetic truth. Stillness is sacred in every tradition, every culture. We find reverence for stillness, meditation, prayer, contemplation, monks in silence, stars at midnight, oceans before dawn, all echo the same wisdom calling, stop, wait, listen, because something lives in the pause, something ancient, something true. Time without motion is like light without form. It's there, but only if you stop chasing it. The paused universe may not be frozen. It may be resting, coiled with potential like a seed. It's underground or a note waiting to be played. Scientists have imagined moments like this at the beginning of the universe, before the Big Bang was their time. No stars, no space, no clocks, just potential. The silence before creation, and perhaps the end. When stars burn out, galaxies dim, the universe may return to stillness, not death, but a final breath, a pause so vast, contains everything, even the memory of motion. In you, you are part of this rhythm. You are made of particles that once danced in suns. You carry the same silence that cradled the cosmos. So, when you rest, when you let your thoughts go quiet, you echo the deepest truth of all. Stillness is not the opposite of time. It is its origin, its cradle, its mirror. And in that mirror, Kai does not stop. It reflects, it softens, it becomes whole. So tonight, as you rest, let yourself imagine a universe without rush, a world where nothing must happen right now, a breath that lasts forever. And within that pause, within that quiet, the next beginning waits.